Good morning, everyone. How are we this morning? Good? Well, welcome to 1 Million Cups, Kansas City. Who's here for the first time? Raise your hand. Thank you all for being here. Who's been here more than 10 times? Raise your hand. Okay, we'll be looking out for those of you for the Mug Club at announcements. We are a weekly entrepreneurial program. We have two companies that will present here today. They each will present for 6 minutes. We have one in the first half of our program and then one in the second. We will start with our expert panel with a Q&A portion and then open it up to the audience. So if you have a question for any of our presenters, please raise your hand and we will come around with a mic. My name is Courtney. I'm one of your community organizers along with Anna, Zach, and Stephanie. So if you have any questions about 1 Million Cups, please come find us afterwards. I would like to welcome our expert panel this week. They're going to get up and tell you a little bit about themselves.
Hi, I'm Joe Paiva. I'm CEO and founder of GeoLearn. We bring education using video. I think that's a little.
Hi, I'm Susan Pennington. I'm with a small consulting company of one called Pithy Consulting, and we specialize in the happy intersection between big data and IoT.
Thank you. I'd also, again, like to thank Kate for being here this morning, playing music. And then we're going to welcome the Gigabit City Summit attendees that are here this morning as well. Yeah. Woo! So with that, let's get started. I would like to welcome up Calvin with Dwarf.
Can you hear me? Mic check 1, 2. All right. All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you to the 1 Million Cups Committee for having me out, having my team out. I've been to this event on multiple occasions, never as a speaker, always as a person in the seats that you're in right now, always get inspired by what entrepreneurs present. And so hopefully I can return the favor and do that again today. So again, thank you for having me. I hope this will be fun. A little bit about myself. My name is Calvin Robertson. I am the founder of Eve of Creativity. What that is, it's a family-based product design company started by myself and my wife. And we focus primarily on our own digital products. We make and produce and bring to market our own digital products, consumer-based products. And for today, I'm coming to you as the designer and developer around Dwarf. It's a new game concept that we developed that I want to share with you today. So when I think about a family-owned business, this is kind of the picture that my wife and we want to embody. Family game night, the family all having fun around the table and having just a good time, right? And so that's the ideal state. But as entrepreneurs, there's something else that kind of happens and you're not very proud of it. So one day I came home and I saw something that kind of shook me to my core. I mean, it was just a bad feeling, a bad thing that set in my stomach when I walked in the door this day. And I came inside and my family looked like this. Everybody's face was on a screen, even my 2-year-old daughter. My daughter had a Leapster. I had one son on an iPad, another son on a laptop. My wife, she has an iPad for her main computing device from work. She's on her iPad. And so that's what we did. Nobody heard me come in. Everybody's just engaged into this screen. And then a few minutes later, I joined them with my MacBook, and then we're all one big happy family. Minus the dog. We don't have a dog, though. Yeah. But that was the problem. So we're very big on family, but we're also entrepreneurs. We're also very passionate about design and technologies. How do you balance the two? So that was a problem that I had. And so how do I not only balance the two, but how do I also instill a sense of entrepreneurship and technology and creativity in our children in a very productive way? So what we decided to do with Eve of Creativity is to pivot from doing services to creating our own products. And so we landed on gaming. That was the space that we felt really good about. So with that, I said, you know what? I have all these ideas. I just need to go. I just need to start. So in August of 2015, I woke up one Saturday morning. I said, I'm just going to do it. I woke up early, went downstairs, got on the computer, And I said, I'm going to create this Rube Goldberg-ish prototype and just slap it together and get it done. And so I created this prototype, the first prototype for Dwarf, and it looked like this. It was just a white screen and some hidden stars. And my first son wakes up, I give him the game, and I say, okay, here's your challenge. There are 3 stars hidden in the ether. You have to use your phone as a viewfinder to find them, all right? And they'll show up when you find that coordinate based on their geolocation or whatever, that star will show up. So he plays the first one, and he goes, oh, Dad, I found it. I found the first star. I was like, all right, there's 2 more. Keep going. Move around. So he moves the phone around. He finds the second one. Oh, I found the second one. All right, there's one more left. And then he finds the third one. And then I reset the game. I give it to his little brother. His little brother does the same thing. They really like this game. They're like, wow, this is pretty cool. It took about a couple hours. All of this happening on a Saturday morning, right? Then I took the phone back, I reconfigured it, I shuffled the stars, put them in a different location, I give it back to my oldest son. He goes back to the original spot where he found the star. He's like, I can't find it. I was like, that's right, I moved it. You gotta figure out where it is. And so he goes, okay, I'll move it, I'll find it. And then he finds the 3 stars, second son, he finds it. And so now we have this buzz in the house. We have this game concept that the kids are gravitating towards. And so we began to over the next month or so, reiterate over that, come up with a different design. What are we gonna call it? How are we gonna design it? What is it gonna look like? And then another magical thing happened. A month later, September 2015, anybody know what this is? Blood Moon, right, Blood Moon event. And so now, that's the conversation in our house. We're talking about space, and we're trying to figure out how we're gonna buy a telescope, and Googling stuff on NASA, and trying to find these stars. I'm studying stars and all these type of things, and we're coming up with all these different crazy names like Star Hunt and Dot Matrix and all those type of things. We had this one name that had like 15 words, and it was something crazy. My son, I think Guardians of the Galaxy came out, and so my son was like, let's call it Star-Lord. No, we can't call it Star-Lord. We can't do that. And so then I came across this name. I kind of sat on it all day, and came home. I said, hey, what if we call it Dwarf? And my wife goes, I like that. That kind of resonates with me. The boys got it, and so we said, okay, that's it. We're going to move forward and move forward. And so as a result of us iterating, this is what we came up with. So this is the experience that we created. It's a game that you really can't play sitting down. You're in the middle of space. That's the concept. You're floating in space. And you got to find these stars. And you only have 60 seconds. So you really got to move. You really got to move. The stars can be above your head. They can be under your feet. They can be behind you, to your left or your right. And you actually have to move. And so the idea here was not to create just another game that I can just sit on the bus and just mindlessly peck around with my fingers. But we took a risk and said we're going to create a game with no buttons. And actually say that you as a player, you're the control. And so with you playing the game, what your score dictates how involved, how much you move that the score will represent. And so that's the experience that we wanted, right? And so as we're coming up with this game, we're testing it with our family or our friends and their kids. We said, I think we got it. We created a game where we took the concept of stargazing, incorporating all of that talk we had in the house around space. We took the concept of stargazing and turned it into a retro arcade style, very kinetic game. But we wanted to keep it simple. We wanted to make sure that it's a game that all ages can play, from the youngest to the oldest. And again, like I mentioned before, put an emphasis on you have to move to play it, right? You're not just picking buttons mindlessly. But we also wanted to leverage the hardware and the software that were native in the iPhone. So the accelerometer and the gyroscope, we wanted to leverage that. We wanted to leverage the technology as far as the leaderboards is concerned. So as you score high scores, it automatically goes up to Apple's Game Center leaderboards. And then we also have things like taking advantage of the social connections that you already have with your phone. So if you're a Twitter person or you're a Facebook person, those things are already tied to your phone. You get a high score, you're prompted with the option to share it on whatever your platform of choice is. And we also we're thinking about going to the future. We didn't want to develop it too much, but we wanted to create at least a good enough, a solid product, put it out into the market, and get feedback from you all to see what we can do to move it forward. So we have things like you build up a collection of stars, like a bank of stars that in future iterations of the game will become very valuable for you. I'll just leave it at that. And then sounds and effects. So we wanted to really capitalize on how do we honor kind of the retro style games with very simple sounds, but then take into consideration this modern mobile platform and have a game that kind of feels right for right now. And so with that, our original target audience for this, we're looking at K through 12 students. We're starting to explore, would this be a valid product for college students as well? We're starting to get some good feedback there. But in this space of puzzle games, arcade games, we're really kind of fixing this casual game space. And so that seems to be a really good target market for us to go in. Again, we're still very early phase. This is actually my debut of this publicly revealing the game to you all. So we're still testing the markets and making sure that this is actually a really good product for this particular audience. But then we also have ideas around STEM programs, sharing this game from that aspect, from the technology side, from the science side of incorporating space and exploring that area. And then another surprising area for me was like physical therapy, where I've had on 3 different occasions, people say, wow, this would be a really good tool for me training somebody how to, get back and to use the regular movement of their body in a fun way. It doesn't feel like exercise, it feels more like a game. And so, that's what I have to present to you today. So I challenge you to go out and reach for the stars. The game is available for iPhone. It's in the App Store today. And you can search for it. If you search for it, it's Dwarf, Reach for the Stars. It'll be a quick way to find it. There are a lot of Dwarf games out there. But you can also shortcut by going to go.playdwarf.com. It takes you directly to that page. And so here's my contact information. If you want to follow the game itself, whenever we come up with new and clever ideas for moving it forward, you can follow us there. You can also follow me at Eve of Creativity, a Twitter account there, so you can hear more about this game and then other products that happen under the Eve of Creativity umbrella. And I also want to give a special shout out to Isaiah, who you saw in the picture, and Titus. They were my ideators and testers of the games, and somewhat marketing or going to school saying, hey, you need to download my dad's game. So it's been really fun, and that's it for me. So thank you guys for allowing me to present.
Nice story telling us how you arrived where you got. I have a question about your company as a whole. So what is it that you do, and how does Dwarf fit into it? Okay. I went on the website, and I didn't find this go.playdwarf.com easily. So when I went to the App Store, I just typed in Dwarf, and of course it was impossible to find it. Sure. Because even though that's the name that appears on the screen, it's not the name you actually search for directly. And I lost patience after I got to about the 10th app that came up with the search. So you might want to try and find a little bit better way. I also noticed that you sell it for 99 cents, so I'm assuming that's an appropriate price for this kind of game. So tell me more about your company and how this fits into it, and then where you plan to try and reach out to people in some of your areas like physical therapy.
Mm-hmm. Good question. So the company is Eve of Creativity. So what Eve of Creativity is, it is a product design company, digital product design. And so what we do is we come up with different problem spaces to provide a creative design project. And so for this particular, Dwarf is actually our first, actually our second. We came up with another product a couple years ago, but Dwarf is actually our first game. And so we wanted to focus Dwarf in this particular endeavor into the gaming entertainment space. And so for us, what we do is the actual product design. So we will take that product, and then when you talk about marketing, it's really about the, like I mentioned before, the family aspect. So we were trying to solve first my itch of, I need to create a game that my kids enjoy. And then if I can conquer that first, I know that I can probably create a game that the other kids enjoy as well. So the physical therapy aspect was kind of like a happenstance. It wasn't what we initially thought would be a good target market, but as we went out and tested with different people, this is the feedback that we got from us. So it's still very early stages as far as how we plan to go into physical therapy, but just some of the initial conversations that we had was we could partner with hospitals, we could partner with other occupational therapists, physical therapists, and they can actually use it as a tool. And my wife is an occupational therapist, so she's always looking for creative toys and different activities to kind of spice it up with her patients, because sometimes they just get into a rut and they just, they don't want to move and they just want to, And so this was kind of like a happy accident that this could be a tool that traditionally, maybe somebody in the medical field or healthcare field wouldn't necessarily buy. But as a result of building a relationship both with parents and kids, you kind of open up that avenue as you meet new people. So we don't have all the answers yet, and that's part of the discovery of this in this early age. It's more about how do we put something out there quickly, get that feedback, and then respond to it in a very natural way. So I don't know if that answers your question.
So, is this on? Reshoot the video of your son and start with that. That is so wonderful and engaging, and it gives you a much better sense of what makes this game different. And it absolutely feels like a 3D version of Asteroids from my childhood. You're too young to know that, but
I am.
It seems a bit simple for the 99-cent price point. Did you think about going for either a freemium version or an ad-sponsored version to get more people to download it? Because there is definitely friction at 99 cents.
Sure. So when you look at games like this, there are a lot of games that are similar to this that will sell for like $1, $2, $3, because there's a shift in design where you talk about these casual games that have this very minimalistic feel. And so they sell you on beautiful design and art, and then they also sell you on, we're not going to load you down with a bunch of ads, right? And so it's one of those concepts of if I just sell it for $1 or a couple of dollars and you play, whenever there's an upgrade, you just get the upgrade. I'm not going to bother you with other stuff. I'm just going to allow you to play the game and have fun. We did look at the freemium model. Again, very early stages. What we noticed is when we gave it away for free, people downloaded it and didn't play. So where do you draw the line? At some point, you have to make a decision. Again, like I mentioned with the last question, you put it out there, see what people do, and then respond accordingly. So. And
do you have Android on your roadmap? Because that's about 60 to 80% of the market share.
We do not have Android. The reason for that is the hardware. So Android is a great platform, but it's really hard to create a consistent experience on all the different hardware. So we just couldn't get the gameplay, the responsiveness where we wanted it. We had much better success with iOS and the iPhone. So we decided to start there. And you're right about the market share, but again, it goes back to what do we actually want? We could say, yes, we want to dominate the market and want everybody to buy the product, but we can also say we want whoever buys the product to have a really good experience and then know that it's going to be a solid experience and create exclusivity, if you will, and say it's going to be a really great experience on iPhone and move from there. But eventually we want to go back to Android. We just need to get to a place where the hardware and the software sync up nicely to create the responsiveness that we want.
And just targeted towards the latest version,
And that too. Yeah, and that's one of those things that sometimes we can't control.
Yeah.
So again, that's a good question. All of those things come into play when we make that decision. So.
But great job. I mean,
Yeah.
in terms of finding a new way to play on your phone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Calvin. Great presentation. We're going to go ahead and open up questions to the audience. So if you have a question, please raise your hand, and Courtney and I will come grab you. And we're going to start off right here with Aaron.
Hey, Calvin. I really enjoyed that game. It's pretty cool. I'm going to have my kids play it. I noticed at the top corner of the game there was some stars there to the top right-hand corner. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit about what that is and how that works? And your plan, kind of maybe your plan for those stars? Yeah.
So you mean like the collection of stars? Or?
Yes.
Okay. So in this first version of the game, it's really about just getting it out there, getting the feedback from the people playing. And thinking about future development of the game, we realized that we wanted to create something to create some type of currency, to create some type of way for people to come back. So we basically created a collection or a bank of stars that for right now, in this first version, you're just collecting stars. Every time you play, the more stars you get, that goes into your general bank that's saved to that particular device. So going forward, what we want to do is kind of use that as cash, as currency to either upgrade and buy different power-ups and different things that we create into the game And so again, not trying to make too many assumptions going forward, but we want to kind of future-proof it to where you have this bank of stars that you've collected after, gathering hundreds or thousands of stars. But now let's up the ante a little bit and allow you to recycle that into something and create just another layer of complexity or interestingness to the game. So good question.
Okay, we've got another question for you from Joe here.
Do you have any local programming talent on your staff? And also, would you consider perhaps hiring any kind of maybe high school or that age interns to do programming?
Yeah, good question. We don't currently have any local talent, local interns and things like that. That is something that we're considering as far as our marketing strategy and further development strategy is how do we make this a platform or a tool for the community to kind of spread the word and kind of show the wealth, so to speak. But currently, no. We have a kind of a skeleton team, but that's definitely on the books. So.
All right, I'm making my way to Jim here. All righty, go ahead, Jim.
I have 2 comments and a question.
Okay.
First of all, I really like seeing a game where things aren't being blown up, and characters aren't being killed.
Bingo. There you go.
And secondly, my youngest daughter, who's a sophomore at K-State, recently returned home, and she said that sometimes she has to go down and study when she has to study late because her roommate goes to sleep early, goes to bed early. So she says, like, when she goes to the common areas, it drives her crazy because all the guys are playing games and they're clicking. And she said it was really hard for me to study, Dad, because everybody was clicking. So kudos to you on both of those accounts. In your intro, you talked about your family and the family game, the old family game night and things like that. Mm-hmm. You showed your son, and he was playing this by himself. So my question is, can this be played by more than one person at a time, or?
Not at a time. Again, that's a great question. That's something that we considered, like kind of maybe a dual play, maybe like a asynchronous gameplay, like Words with Friends, where I play the first round, you play the second round. So those are things that we're also trying to consider. There's another thing that I didn't mention in my presentation is when we tested this with people, this game has that communal effect to where when you see one person standing out in the middle of the street doing like this, it draws a crowd. And then the next person, they're like, well, what are you doing? And then they go, oh, that's cool, can I play? And so again, it creates a communal aspect to gaming that you don't necessarily get with just a game that you're just sitting there playing where you're just watching over somebody's shoulder. So there's a bit of a one-upsmanship when people play it. They think they can do better. And so it just kind of naturally, every time we brought it out, it just kind of naturally developed that kind of communal aspect. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We have a question on your left.
Hi, so I'm a college student and I have an idea how this could be really cool for college students.
Okay.
Mostly we spend a lot of time sitting down and studying, or even if the other games we play or they play are the kind where they have to sit down. Mm-hmm. And this kind of encourages movement, and it would be cool, like in the library, let's say when they're taking their study breaks, to get up and do this in a group, and like it would be something cool to advertise it that way. So if you'd have one college rep or one way of getting into college is to market it that way, it would be a really cool market to target.
Very cool idea, thank you.
Got another question for you here, Calvin.
So I'm an Android girl. I guess I'll have to wait. But I have had a lot of, by the way, very few people in this room would know what a serious Christian is. But Titus is a book in the Old Testament, so you tipped your hand there. I play Trivia Crack, and you challenge your friends on Facebook or friends where you know their email address to play. So maybe you could have people invite people to play. And is there any way in a future iteration that you could, going back to the fascination with space, that certain stars would be harder to find, or that you could name them, or so that they could play in advanced rounds to find the really hardest dwarf stars or whatever?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I know with Game Center, there's a component to it to where you can invite other people to, challenger score, so to speak. So that was one of the reasons why we wanted to incorporate that aspect of it. As far as, you're right on as far as the naming the stars and things like that. One of the original ideas we had was to actually take, a real galaxy and map it. Maybe you do a partnership with NASA or something like that, for, brand recognition. But again, that, takes a lot of work, so it's that trade-off of putting something out there, getting feedback, and that's like one vote of confidence towards that idea that something like that would probably resonate with people. So, absolutely.
We have a question on your far left.
Okay.
Hi, Calvin. Congratulations on where you are with your business. My name is Clayton Banks from Silicon Harlem in New York. Two quick questions. One, are you in the phase of raising money to build out your company and your platform? And two, the stars have been mapped. They are. There's a lot of data back-end data that you can pull from to create what I think could be another part of your company, which is create curriculum to help young people learn more about space and stars and planets, et cetera. A lot of that's happening in augmented reality, but I think putting it in the game form that you're looking at is a good strategy. So I wanted to see if you thought about those things.
Absolutely. Always looking for opportunities to make money, raise money. The education space is really, that's right down our alley. And to your earlier question, we focused on gaming, but that's our Trojan horse because we're really big on education in our house. And so all of our games, we want to be entertaining, but then have some type of educational, not just an overt do your math homework, but a learning experience, so to speak. So we are looking at opportunities for how do we bring this to colleges and schools and things like that, and again, create a curriculum, a more engaging curriculum. So absolutely, yeah, that's absolutely where we are.
Oh, sorry, I turned off my mic. Quick question for you with Grant, from Grant.
So I'm not sure if you realize, but I think you've done something more than make a game here. You may have potentially, based on a few Google searches, you may have potentially created a new category, which is sort of the holy grail, if you know, if you're in the know in that regard. Mm-hmm. And I've sort of casually defined it based on your presentation as a kinetic mobile game, mm-hmm. right? Or however you want to define it. But the idea that you're flipping how people play games on its head, where instead of you move and the phones doesn't move, right? It's sort of the opposite. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, you're really onto something. But you still have the issue of being able to infiltrate an incredibly crowded space, right?
Absolutely.
So how do you plan on moving into mobile gaming, which is incredibly fragmented mm-hmm. and incredibly competitive, to make this new concept, this new category that you've created known?
Good question. One of the, based on a lot of experience from other projects, other products and things that we worked on in the past, the thing that really kind of makes or breaks something is if people know about it. And so you're right, the space is very fragmented. It's not like you can just create an awesome game and just put an ad on Facebook or Twitter and just, voila, it's it. You really have to, take it to the people. Like doing things like this, though, some may think that this is very small, but this is how a lot of great ideas come, into that space. So it's a lot of work. It is a lot of hard work, but we have to do the groundwork and allow people to actually play it. We actually have to bring it to things like this. We have to do things like what this gentleman over here said. We have to bring it to schools and do that type of thing. And it's not an easy answer, but if the market is flooded, it's not like we can just jump in the market and make it different. We have to do something different. Just like you said, we came up with a different category. We have to come up with different ways to market it and promote it and spread the word and allow people to play it and get that feedback, recycle it, and just be in a constant dialogue with people. So again, I don't have all the answers, but I think you're right on to something. But we realize that this is hard. So.
Thanks, Calvin. We've got one final question for you. What can we as a community do to help you?
Good question. So the first thing is definitely download, play the game. Give us your feedback. You have our social media contacts here. Feel free to share anything, any ideas, anything that you see about the game and how we can improve it and make it better and things of that nature. Also, we're looking for more opportunities like this to talk about the game. So if there are different venues and different things where you think we can come and share with either a school group or just any other club, entrepreneurship club or business club, technology, STEM, things like that. We really love bringing this game and having kids play it. When the kids play it, something magical happens. The adults get it, and then they're happy to see their kids doing something other than just sitting around playing the game. And just like some of the other questions here, we are looking for different strategic partners and things like that to where we can take this game to another level. Again, everything's open to a conversation at least, and so we just want to put it out there and say, this is what we're moving forward with. If you guys have great ideas that can help us, we would appreciate it. So, all right, thank you much. I'll be here afterwards if you have any other questions.
Thanks, Calvin. And I know there are a lot of additional questions and comments for Calvin, so like you said, definitely grab him when we wrap up our second presenter. Announcement time. So we're going to kick it off with Mary from Athena League. She's going to come up and share some info with you guys.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Good morning. Hi, everyone. My name's Mary Sloss, and I am the co-founder of Athena League, which is an effort to grow female entrepreneurs in the Kansas City region. And one of the ways we do that is through our monthly speaker series called Vox. And so we have a special opportunity for each of you here in this room. We would like to offer you the opportunity to attend tomorrow's event at no cost with the discount code 1MC. And tomorrow is actually going to be a great event. We're featuring Maria Myers, who's the executive director of KC SourceLink, and she's going to give an update on the state of entrepreneurship in Kansas City, and particularly focus on some interesting stats about women in entrepreneurship. And how they start businesses a little differently than men. For example, women are more likely to bootstrap their businesses than men, who are more likely to go raise money. And so she's also going to have a really dynamic discussion with a female entrepreneur, Shauna Huntington, who is the founder of Fortivity, which is a back office service company. So again, we hope all of you can come. It's going to be a great event. It's at Google Fiber tomorrow night from 5:30 to 7:30. And if you have any questions about the event or how you guys can get more involved or potential speaking opportunities, we're always looking for your ideas, your input, your feedback. So I will be here. I'm sitting right over there. And then also Ari Kern, she's on the executive committee, so she's available to answer any of your questions as well. But we hope to see all of you there. Again, if you go to our webpage, athenaleague.org, you'll find the registration link. And again, the discount code is 1MC, the number 1, not spelled out. So, all right, I hope you guys can all be there. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mary. And we have more fun coming your way. Larissa with Startup Crawl, do you want to come up?
Good morning. So I am Larissa, you ready with the Startup Crawl, and wanted to talk to you guys about some of the new developments with this event. So how many of you guys have already registered for the crawl? I need every hand in this room up, so that is why I have this lovely screen behind me. Please go to startupcrawlkc.com/register and say that you're going to come and attend. We would love to see you, friends, family, whatever it is. We actually have 11 locations, so we've been talking about 10, but we were fortunate enough to bring on the Lincoln Building in the Jazz District, so that's going to be a not-to-miss stop. We also have a really big announcement about, I think for the first time ever, this event is hosting an after party at KC Crossroads. So there's going to be live music, another chance for some awesome collisions, great connections, all that kind of stuff. So that is also free. It's open to the public, regardless of if you come to the crawl or not. But of course, we would love to see all of the people from the crawl then hopping on the shuttles and going downtown to check out the awesome space. The Crossroads KC space is at Grinders, so it's that big back space there. We also have an awesome opportunity for people at one of 5 locations. You guys can now register for a drawing to win $2,000. It's a collection amongst several small businesses, and for more details, we're really going to push you guys out to social media because they are sort of doing their big reveals and making these big announcements. So check out the Startup Crawl page on Facebook and figure out which locations you guys can drop your cards in, and hopefully someone will win some good money. And then another thing that I want to encourage you guys to keep your eyes open for are these Facebook Live videos that we're doing at the participating locations. So I went down and did one at the Startup Village, and I know John Kohler went to Think Big Partners, and it's just a really fun way to kind of get to know the spaces a little bit more personally, who's going to be hosting these different startups. So check us out, stay engaged, and please register. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, real quick, we've got some additional announcements for you guys. On the back of your sheets here, if you want to grab a flyer at the back, that'd be lovely. Guild It, Thursday, May 19th, 12 to 1 at the Coffin Foundation. Like Mary mentioned, Athena League, that'll be taking place tomorrow, 5:30 to 7:30 at the Google Fiber Lounge, so be sure to check that out. Very exciting 1 week KC is going to kick off. Like Larissa mentioned, Startup Crawl is the big event. Come see me. I'll be there at the Sprint Accelerator with a launch code. Woohoo, yeah. Demo day, you'll get to see what the Techstars fellows have been working on. That'll be hosted at the Kauffman Center for Performing Arts. Venture Lounge, Wednesday, May 25th. That'll be 5 to 7 at Kauffman Foundation. And these are all part of 1 week KC, just as a heads up. E-Day at the K. I think the 1 Million Cups team will be out there for that. Unofficial announcement. Thursday, May 26th. And that'll be from 4 to 10, obviously at Kauffman Stadium, rooting on the Royals. And lastly, Launch Your Career Day with Launch Code. That's going to be Saturday, June 4th, from 11 to 4. So if you're an aspiring developer, we're doing in-person applications for our apprenticeship program. Again, I will be there. Please come out and meet with us, meet with our technical team, our placements team, and we'll work on getting you a job in tech. Other than that, lastly, we're going to do Mug Club really quick. So again, if you've come to 1 Million Cups 10 or more times, please stand up. Please stand up. This is not a test, people. And you could potentially win a mug. Thank you. Awesome. Okay. If you're
not part of the Mug Club already.
If you're not part of the Mug Club already, please sit down.
Wait.
Oh, wait.
If you are part of the Mug Club, sit down. Let's see how many more double negatives we can add. All right. No, okay, so if you are part of the Mug Club, sit down. I'm taking over.
Thank you.
All right. So you're all not part of the Mug Club. Okay, this is a big moment. Can we get a drum roll? I feel like we need a drum roll right now. There we go. And John Meyer beats his dad to it, actually. So John, why do you come to 1 Million Cups other than the fact that your dad drags you here?
Well, I'm a college student. I'm going through business school at KU, and I just think it's really interesting to see what's going on in KC. It's also, I mean, I talk to him a lot. It's a huge networking opportunity too, just to get to know everybody who's around here. So.
Awesome. So go meet John after 1 Million Cups. You heard that.
All right, thank you, Zach, for rescuing me. I've had a long week. So next up, we have our second presenter. We're going to introduce Lucas with Kamyuno.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. My name is Lucas Jackson, and I am the founder of Kamyuno.com, an online exchange platform that aims to revolutionize the way that we do commerce. All my life I've traveled. Between the time that I was born and today, I've moved almost 30 times. I've lived in 5 countries, 8 states, and more than 15 cities. The reason I tell you this is because in each of those places I've connected with someone. Natives from the area, people who have lived their whole lives in one place and not gotten to experience what life is like outside of their own bubble. Unfortunately, a lot of this is related to economics, environment, and accessibility. Now, I'm not in the business of making excuses for people, but the fact of the matter is that a person's ability to make money directly impacts their own experience and that of their community. Kamyuno is a community that has the potential to impact millions of people and thousands of communities all over the world. It is a local idea with global potential. Our goal is to connect communities of people with centralized interests and get them to use the things that they already have in their lives to either help them make money or save money. What do I mean? Well, take Rick, for example. Rick is a local filmmaker in LA. He's got equipment to make movies, music, photography. Rick also has a day job. Rick works to support his hobby. See, Rick doesn't want to sell his stuff. It has a value to him beyond the money. That's why at Kamyuno, Rick can rent his equipment out to other locals, and now he can use his hobby to support his hobby. This frees Rick up to work on his next script or plan his next project. Now take Tim, for example. Tim loves gaming. He has every console ever created since the Atari. He's got a ton of games. It's a solid collection. But Tim wants to buy the new Oculus Rift. Unfortunately, Tim's broke because he spends all his time playing video games and he hasn't figured out how to monetize that yet. So, you said it. So Tim can't buy the new Rift. But at Kamyuno, Tim can trade pieces of his own collection in order to get the thing that he now wants. Each of these examples is unique to the person's needs, desires, and their accessibility. This is Shauna. Shauna is a very fortunate person with very fortunate circumstances, and she's a giving soul. So she's got boxes of books, blankets, pots and pans that she no longer needs nor uses. She doesn't want anything in return for these things. She just wants it to go to a good home. So at Kamyuno, Shauna can offer to share this stuff with a person in need. Now, one more example before I move on. This is Sarah. Sarah's a mother of 3, and as all parents know, kids grow up fast. So Sarah's got boxes of children's toys, clothes, strollers, you name it. If it's related to kids, she's got it, and they've grown out of it. So Sarah wants to sell this stuff. She's a first-time seller, and so she goes to eBay because she knows that it's safe. But when she goes to post her first item, she's presented with this form. It's a long form, asks a lot of personal information, and then a lot of details about the product that she's posting that some would argue are really not necessary. Furthermore, she does a little research to find out a lot of people are complaining about eBay's high commission rates of 10 and sometimes 15%, and then sometimes also just getting charged to post. So Sarah leaves eBay and she goes where? Anybody? Craigslist. You said it. Craigslist. Anyone that has been on Craigslist, yeah. You know what this experience is like, right? It's filled with scams, anonymity, and shady behavior, right? So here's the current problem within the market. There is a huge gap. Oh, excuse me. She does a little more research, and she finds this article about the 101. There we go. 101 times someone has been killed using Craigslist. 101. And so that statistic is 101 times too many for Sarah to feel safe. And Sarah, like many of us, values her safety. So here's the current problem within the market. There is a huge gap on the internet between eBay and Craigslist. On the one hand, you have a site that is relatively safe in its use, but very rigid and very costly to the user. And on the other hand, you have a site where pretty much anything goes. Welcome to Kamyuno. People-to-people commerce made easy. Kamyuno is the world's first all-in-one exchange platform. Kamyuno utilizes a patent-pending technology that enables people to go beyond the traditional means of buying and selling online and expand their horizons in an environment that is focused on integrity and user safety. So, what are the problems with the competition? Well, Craigslist is dangerous, eBay is rigid and costly to the user, and OfferUp, Wallapop, LetGo, Virage Sale, you name it, they're all the same. And that's why they haven't figured out how to monetize. So what makes Kamyuno better? 4 things. Transparency, functionality, design, and integrity. So when our users meet face-to-face, they already know who it is that they're meeting. If they still feel uncomfortable, well, we also offer the option for users to ship items as well. Our users can pay through PayPal or by cash. Even our review system is unique, affording the user the opportunity to dole out a little of the age-old karma using our karma point system. This empowers people to be able to pass on good karma for a positive transaction and bad karma for a negative one. With this platform, we hope to create a community that is based on integrity and community. Now, what is the market potential? In a market that is worth more than $300 billion annually and accounts for nearly 300 million people in the United States alone, the experience of these people is largely forgotten. It's put on the back burner. At Kamyuno, we intend to bring that experience to the forefront and make it a good one. So, who is our customer? In short, everyone. Anyone over the age of 16. Women, mothers, students, hobbyists, anyone that uses Craigslist, eBay, OfferUp, Wallapop, Letgo. And lastly, what are the problems facing the go-to-market strategy? Well, first off, it is important to note that one of Kamyuno's biggest strengths is also one of its biggest hurdles, and that is the issue of the user base. Without an active user base, you won't have products, and without products, you can't attract people. It's the riddle of which came first, the chicken or the egg. I actually know the answer to this now. Money. Which is why at Kamyuno, we have figured out how to monetize from the beginning and why we are currently seeking funding for our seed round. Beyond that, there are the more tangible hurdles of hiring for key positions and building this out into an app. That's it for my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Lucas. We'll go ahead and open up to our panelists.
Very, very nice presentation, and I think you touched on a lot of the initial questions I had, which is how do you reach density when you're spread thinly over the globe? Did you think about starting off in a more local approach to try out the product and then expand it out? And the other thing to keep in mind is Craigslist didn't start off being overrun by trolls.
Right.
Once you become popular, here come the trolls. So, being on your site initially, I didn't see anything that was going to validate who I was or what I was doing. So how are you trying to avoid the troll problem?
Sure. So one of the things that I actually skipped over in my presentation was that our profile system enables our users to verify their profile a number of different ways. Through an email, through a Facebook, through a LinkedIn, through their own address even. So we are providing our users with a number of tools to be forthright, to be upfront and say, hey, this is who I am. As well as our review system, which offers users the opportunity to leave a little bit of a comment and say, hey, Steve was great. He met with me, it was quick, it was easy. Or say, hey, stay away from Steve. I had a bad experience with this guy. He showed up, he hit on me, he didn't have the product, it was broken. And so I think that by offering the users at least the opportunity to be upfront gives us an opportunity to create that community with integrity. And did you have another question? Did I?
Just how are you going to reach density?
Yes. So you're right. Obviously, you want to get a foothold, which is what we are trying to do. The goal is to get a foothold in one community and build from there. Obviously, it doesn't work to just blast this out to the entire world and say, hey, hop on here, everyone, from Thailand to New York to LA, that doesn't work. You need people to have successful transactions, and you need people to actually be able to connect and communicate with one another effectively.
So, great presentation. So I have 2 or 3 questions. Let me start with the first one, taking off on Susie's, which is why did you have about 60 languages in your beta version? I'm assuming you're trying out many, many different things. Was that like getting ahead of the curve a little bit?
So yeah, you're onto that. We're probably a little ahead of the curve on that. What we did was, the goal is to create this and make it accessible to everyone. So we connected that with Google Languages, but absolutely, at this point, it's not necessary. But further down the road, we just wanted to show that, hey, we are thinking about expanding this beyond the realms of the English language and our borders.
So 2 other quick ones. You said you figured out money is what you start with. So I noticed it's a beta version. Are you actually generating revenue today? Do you have users, and if so, how many?
We're not pre-revenue, but the revenue at this point is inconsequential. And we have less than 500 users. So it's, again, it's just trying to get some traction there to, more begets more in this scenario. So, the first 50 users were a lot harder to get than, the next 50 and so on. So we're still at a very early point, and like I tell people, we're still in our infancy, but I think we have the opportunity to really grow into something very robust once we do tap into a foothold of a community.
So you don't have to respond to this directly, but here's a comment. Being an immigrant myself, I'm aware that there's lots of immigrant communities that prefer to communicate in their own language. So the language thing may be a good idea, but the big problem now is how to get a foothold in those communities to make yourself known. So the marketing issue is pretty big.
Absolutely. So just to respond to that, because we are appealing to such a large cross-section of the United States and of the population, I believe that we can really appeal to a number of different communities because, like I said at the beginning, the goal for us is to connect communities with centralized interests. So one community that we already know has, at least one very centralized interest is the college community. College students, they all need textbooks. So the average college student spends approximately $1,200 per year on textbooks that they're never going to read again after they graduate, for the most part, if they ever read them, right? So that equates to almost $5,000 by the time that you've graduated. So by tapping into that community and utilizing our trade feature, which I think is one of our most unique and really cool features, I think that we can really appeal to that demographic. And then once we're in there, that community already has a plethora of other things that they all really want. Every year they all go back to school, they all buy new furniture for their dorms or office equipment, that type of thing. And when they go home, this stuff usually goes to the curb or ends up on Craigslist. So I think there's room for expansion there.
All right, question right in the middle here.
Hi. So this strikes me very much so as sort of a couch surfing for eBay, right? In the sense of like, couch surfing has gone through a lot of work trying to make sure that their profiles are really validated, that people have a good, safe experience. I mean, I've used it, extensively, and they do a lot with the verification. So if you're not familiar with how they've done that, I would suggest like creating an account, looking into it, going through their process, because I just know from a user perspective that it's made even my parents feel pretty good about the fact that, I was using this thing for 10 months. So that's just, it's a little bit of a comment, but also something I think you can see the correlation. With the commenting and all of that, I know something that they've struggled with, and I see other places is like bullying or people taking advantage of having this direct to user connection. And so it's something that I think is becoming more mainstream. So how do you plan to deal with that? Also your data security, if people are passing out, credit card validation or address validation, like why should I trust you? I think is another thing to consider. And then what's your tipping point for your user base to actually start making this, make sense for you financially, and also just like getting your foothold? Like what's your data tell you for your tipping point? That was like 6 questions, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was quite a bit. Thanks for the comments on the couch surfing thing. I am familiar with couch surfing. I haven't heard anybody put it that way, but That's good. So just to go to your last question there, because there were a few in the middle. If I miss, you want to go back, we can do that. But as far as a user base for a tipping point, our goal, obviously, to start off, we want to hit 1 million users. But to get to that point, you got to have other milestones. 1,000. Like I said, we're already less than 500. So 1,000, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, and 1 million is really, I feel, where you really have some synergy. You got the ball rolling on multiple fronts. See, the average daily transaction on eBay is 2.6% of their users are making a transaction. So we feel that if we can get to 1 million users, then we're already reaching 26,000 or 2,600 transactions per day, which is a great place to start, and that would already help us to start to generate revenue.
2-second delay. There it is.
2-second delay. Thank you, Zach. We've got another question for you here, Lucas.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I like your transitioning colors in your name,
Thank
the
you.
tricolor. But sitting back here, I'm having a hard time reading it. So going forward, what I might suggest is a dark background in your marketing materials so that you pop that name, because everybody needs to know your name.
Okay.
So last Saturday, I took a few items over to my local Goodwill drop-off center. And I was amazed at the quantity and quality of items people were bringing in to share with Goodwill.
Sure.
But everyone was standing there waiting for their tax receipt. So I saw you have a share component.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with the tax receipt, and how do you make money on your website with your share component?
So the share component is actually free, and I intend to keep it that way. The point of an aspect of this community is to create community. And because nobody is making money on the share, I feel that it's unfair for us to try and monetize that. Because we do have 4 features, and that is why we are able to monetize from the beginning, because we're able to offer other features of ours for free. As far as the tax monetization goes, that is not something that we have thought about in terms of person to person. Because again, this is more of a community aspect. I hadn't really thought about involving the government in that share component. But one of the things that we want to do down the road with our share feature is actually make it so if you post something to share, and after a week or whatever you say is, you're tired of having it up there, you just want to get rid of it, we want to get involved with a charity such as the Vietnam Veterans Association, which will send 2 guys to your place and pick up anything that you are willing to donate. And it's a great charity, and I think that having that aspect of having somebody come to your door and take the things that you're giving away is really nice and makes it easy for the user.
Lucas, we've got another, sorry, Zach.
Question in the middle here.
It seems like right now you're kind of focused on just normal people to normal people. Have you ever thought, and then you're also focused on, like non-business owners, but have you ever thought of allowing local business owners to kind of have a presence so that they can reach out to local markets and kind of people can purchase from either the maker that's actually making the product or the business owner that's the candle provider or something? It allows you to have a lot more product on your site right up front,
yeah,
which allows you to lean into a lot more, draw a lot more users.
Absolutely, and yes, definitely have thought about that, and actually have reached out to a few businesses. The thing again, it's about establishing a foothold in a community. So business owners are going to generally be protective over their business and over their merchandise. We do charge a commission for payments that do go through the PayPal system. So again, for a business owner, that stops and make them think for a second. But if we can establish a foothold, say around a university, where there is a great community, and say there's a local bike shop where the bike, it's another avenue for them to advertise their products, have more eyeballs on their merchandise, and possibly even expand their business into something that they hadn't thought about before. Because if they are already selling bikes and it's, again, a local area, hey, why not take a stab at renting those out for a day or two to people who are interested in doing that? So yeah, that's a great point, and definitely something that we want to do.
Or even some small businesses don't want to invest in the infrastructure to build out their own e-commerce.
You got
so if you can take some of that burden off of small businesses and provide an embedded kind of plug-in for their website, and then kind of a branded experience so that you're not pushing them to the larger product that you've got on your website, but you can have a, mixture candle experience, right? So.
Sure. All right, thank you.
All right, last question from the crowd in the back.
Thank you, Zach. Go ahead.
You're welcome, Anna.
All right, actually 2 quick questions. So one is, can you talk just briefly a little bit about the IP that you said you had, or some type of patent I think you had mentioned early in your presentation? And the other is, have you contemplated individuals being able to utilize video as part of their selling of whatever items they may want to sell?
It's 2 great questions. And just to start with the patent, so what we have applied for is a utility patent. So again, that is currently pending. And that patent is on our functionality, the flow of the system, and the novelty of our whole review system. So just beyond that, to answer your second question, video, yes. Yes, that's actually been something that I haven't really planned on talking about, but yes, that's an idea that we already have in the works. It's very good.
Okay, Lucas, our final question for you really quick. I know you've kind of mentioned it, but is there anything else that we can do to help you?
Never thought you'd ask. So obviously, again, going back to the chicken and the egg, we need people to sign up. We need profiles. We need people to not just sign up, but be active, post things. We have 4 different ways to post your items, and each of them is very easy and tailored to the experience. In particular, I say with an emphasis on the trade, because for one, again, totally free. Post anything you want, and here's the great thing about it. Maybe the thing that you're posting isn't something that you really even want to sell, because maybe you won't get the value for it dollar-wise that you really feel like it's worth. But maybe if you post your car or your computer or your boat or any other item, maybe it's a collector's item, maybe it's a rare baseball card or World War II memorabilia. Maybe you could find an added value with somebody actually offering you something that you're directly asking for on the ad, or something that you hadn't thought of, that all of a sudden you're like, wow, somebody offered me this. And if they don't offer you something that you want, you can simply reject the trade, which is really easy. No skin off anyone's back. If that person wants to keep coming back and trying to sweeten the deal, well, that's up to them. But we have that option. So just to continue on, spread the word, tell your friends about it. Sign up, pass it through social media, and we are currently seeking funding for our seed round. So if you are an angel or a VC, write a check.
Okay, thank you
That's
so
it.
much for your presentation today.
All right.
We'll see you guys next week. We have Swope Guitars and To Go 24, and then also we need to be out of this room by 10:30 today, so keep that in mind. See you next week.